Edgar offered me this movie, and I was like, yes. He's like, you're my Ben Richards, and I'm like, let's go. And then he's like, and then like later that night, you're like, by the way, like you have to be approved by Stephen King. And I was like, how does that happen? He's like, he's gonna watch Hitman tonight. And thank you. And so I had to wait overnight for Stephen King to watch Hitman and hope that I still had the role in the morning. It was terrible.
You guys got quite the crowd today, and you deserve it. Also, what better way to be introduced to this stage than by Bobby T himself? I love Coleman, A+ casting in that role. Cannot wait to see the full performance. Before we start to dig into very specific details, I want to go back to the very beginning, Edgar, on this one, because in 2017, you tweeted something to this effect, that if you were ever to make a remake, you would specifically choose The Running Man. So can you tell us a little bit about why you felt that way at the time, and then what the road was like from tweet to finished film?
I had read Stephen King's The Bachman books when I was a teenager, and The Running Man was one of those books, which was, as you probably know, Stephen King wrote under a pseudonym for like 4 books before he got rumbled, and then they released them as a paperback. And I read that as a teenager, and I read it before I saw the 1987 film. So when I saw the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, I was very aware that it was very loosely based on the book. And so I always felt that there was a whole part of the story that just hadn't been adapted. And that's the, you know, my favorite films, and actually my favorite remakes are ones that kind of do something different from the other one. So this is not an attempt to remake that film. This is something that's more faithful to the book. So that was what was exciting for me. And I think actually Simon Kinberg, who's backstage, I'm pretty sure he saw that tweet, because in 2021 I got an email saying, hey, is it true that you have interest in doing The Running Man? And I was like, yes. And it was sort of an absolute gift of an email to actually a project that you'd actually thought about manifest itself in your inbox.
To build on some of what you just said there, I want to do some Running Man math right now so everyone has a clear picture of what your movie is. Can you break down how true it stays to the original source material, how much is maybe inspired by the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and then how much of what we're going to see is purely your own?
I have not thought about these specific numbers, but I'd say it's more faithful to the book. We do pay homage to the great Arnold in the movie, yeah, but it's more faithful to the book than the 1987 film, but it is also an adaptation as well. And you know, I mean, also probably the most nerve-wracking part of the production is. You know, Stephen King read the screenplay before we started filming. And, you know, Stephen King, he's like the most famous English teacher in history, because he was an English teacher. So Michael Bacall, you know, who wrote the film with, I was like, this is so nerve-wracking to have to hand in our homework to Stephen King. But he loved the screenplay, and so it was great. It was a real kismet. So I think also, if you're a fan of there are a couple of nods to the 1987 film as well.
I look forward to seeing that, because I am indeed a fan, and we'll also come back to your conversations with Stephen King, because I have to know more about that. But first, Glenn, for you, you've accomplished so much. I've seen you in so many action films. This particular one feels, you can definitely applaud for his great films. Well deserved. This does feel a little bit different, though, and I believe it's the first time you have headlined a major studio action film. So can you tell me a little bit about what getting that opportunity means to you at this point in your career, and why you're so happy it happened with The Running Man of all stories?
What's up, guys? This is so damn cool. Sorry, it's my first Comic-Con, and I'm so stoked. This movie means so much to me. I mean, I got to share the screen technically with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Expendables 3. Way back in the day, I'm like 16th on the call sheet. There's no reason I needed to be in that movie. It's all like, you know, the most iconic action stars of all time, and somehow I slipped in. And what was really, really cool is for me to get to watch, you know, guys like Schwarzenegger and Stallone, Harrison Ford, Snipes, Banderas, all these guys who have led their own franchises and sort of their own movies, watch how they do it. And that was pretty cool for me to kind of be looking up at some of my heroes and now getting to kind of occupy this space, and an iconic title with an iconic director, incredible cast. I mean, this movie just delivers on every level. So, the kind of characters I've always responded to are just ordinary people against extraordinary odds, and that's just really the DNA of The Running Man.
I'll squeeze in a quick follow-up question because you just named so many wonderful people.
Sorry, that was like the ultimate name drop, but I promise it was like, I just happened to be in a movie with them.
When you've earned the opportunity to name drop like that, you should do it, which is why I'm going to ask this follow-up question. Can you tell us something you saw one of those action icons do on any of those past movies that made you say, like, I got to back pocket this and use it one day, and that idea came in handy on The Running Man?
That's a great question. I watched a bunch of those guys do a pump up before takes. Those guys had weights on set. I stole that. All those guys knew how to get pumped up ahead of time. One of my favorite memories on Expendables, I got to ride a tank with Arnold Schwarzenegger down the Croisette for press for Expendables 3. That was my peak of my life doing that. Yeah.
I feel like that's a respectable peak right there. I understand that. Lee, coming your way now to talk about McCone. You're going to get one of my real nerdy acting questions because I love this thought. When this opportunity, I do that every single time I ask a question I'm enthusiastic about. When this opportunity comes your way, what is something about this particular role that makes you say to yourself, I have something to gain from this as an actor who is always evolving my craft and looking to challenge myself in new ways?
Oh, wow, what a question. I have to really think about this. Hey, guys. It was Edgar. Before I'd even read the script, I got a call from Edgar saying, this is what I'm trying to make, and this is what I see with this character. And I love playing characters. I love playing people different from myself and weird. And he described McCone as this phantom chasing Ben Richards, this executioner. And I thought, I can have fun with this. This is going to be a good time. And I think, as you'll see today, it is a good time. Yeah, that was it.
To tease his look a little, can you walk us through maybe some of the collaborating you did with Edgar and also your costume designer, Julian Day, in order to figure out the right look and specifically the right mask to wear?
I love a costume. I love a cool costume, and I love developing the costume. I mean, we had a really good time collaborating and figuring out what this guy was going to look like because he's a showman. He's the star of this reality show. He's got to present, he's got to show up. So we figured out a lot of different ways about how he looks, but the mask was a key to it for a lot of reasons. I think the mask is really cool. I think it just looks really cool. But I think it also maybe helps McCone have a lazy Sunday if he needs one. He can go out, walk his dog, go to the gym. A lot of people are looking out for him, and he can and take a break. So
I also just find it very ironic that the most handsome man in Hollywood is always determined to wear a mask. It makes no sense to me.
I'm also kind of obsessed with the idea that McCone has a dog now. I'm not going to stop thinking about that.
A little puppy.
McCone walking my dog Brisket around. Yeah, that's a vibe.
Where is Brisket, by the way? There's no Brisket here today.
No. Brisket has an experience at Comic-Con. We're gonna save that for later. Yeah.
Okay.
He's safe in Austin, Texas, right now.
Okay, good. I'm glad he's safe and sound, but I can dream big. One day. Glenn, I'm gonna come back your way to dig into Ben Richards a little, especially because we got to start teeing up some of our clips. Some of you guys are gonna see footage that nobody else has seen, so you're in for it today. I'm actually going to give you a similar question that I gave to Edgar. It's kind of like Ben Richards' math here. Can you tell us a little bit about things from the book that were very important for you to hold tight to? Maybe some ways that Arnold's performance influenced you, but also ways you wanted to make Ben Richards in this movie uniquely your own.
Well, I mean, Ben Richards is... Again, the ultimate underdog. He's a normal guy, who is again against facing off against the most powerful oppressive system there is. So there's no greater stakes and no smaller odds. I would say that in terms of what I took from Arnold, I do the entire performance in an Austrian accent, which was important to me. No, I think the thing that, one thing that I think is just really so fun about this movie is the collision of fun and violence. It's one of the reasons that Edgar Wright is absolutely the perfect guy to direct this movie. When you've watched Edgar's filmography, you look at the way he directs action sequences, and there's like maybe no better action director out there. I mean, you're literally like, I know this is a comedy, but like, like even in Hot Fuzz, I'm like, this is Hot Fuzz. That is a killer action movie. And those sequences, I'm like, this guy is primed to do something really extraordinary with this, he's a weapon in that way. So the best part is Edgar gets to fully unleash, that weapon on this movie. And I think the fun part is when Edgar and I first started talking about this role, I think he was, I try to be a nice guy in real life, but he's like, I need bad mood Glenn. I need to turn on something a little different in you. And so Ben Richards in the book is very much, he's very frustrated with the system. He's been pushed down. He's trying to provide for his family, and every sort of option has been taken away from him in order to do that. So this is a man who's just trying to provide for his family in a place that doesn't allow him to do that. And there's a growing frustration and anger there. So really, I got to kind of unleash that part of my personality, which was great.
That perfectly tees up our first clip, where you're going to get a sense of who Glen's Ben Richards is and, start to tiptoe into this world here. So let's share our first clip from The Running Man. So there's a couple things in that clip that speak to Ben's backstory. So I want to go back to the Stephen King of it all. You did mention that he read the script. Can you all maybe walk us through any early conversations you had with Stephen King and maybe any interactions you had during the making of the movie?
Why not? He was incredibly genuine. He loved the adaptation. And that was kind of like a blessing and a curse, because he raved so much about the script. And then I was like, oh shit, now we got to make it. So that's not the end of the story. You still have to make the movie. But it was great. I don't want to speak for him because he's seen the movie, but he did, and he really loved it. And he said something in the email. He said, it's faithful, more faithful to the book to keep the fans happy, but different enough to keep me on my toes and excited. And I was thinking, okay, I'll take that.
It's like the highest honor you could get from the author of this story. Did either of you have your opportunity to meet the master yet?
No, not yet, but
Not yet. I did have, the only interaction I had is Edgar offered me this movie, and I was like, yes. He's like, you're my Ben Richards, and I'm like, let's go. And then he's like, and then like later that night, you're like, by the way, like you have to be approved by Stephen King. And I was like, how does that happen? He's like, he's gonna watch Hitman tonight. And thank you. And so I had to wait overnight for Stephen King to watch Hitman and hope that I still had the role in the morning. It was terrible. He loved it, which thank God.
That's the coolest thing ever for you personally, and also for Hitman, which everybody should see if you haven't yet. Sticking with the idea of adapting a book into a film, you all know I love the book so much. And when you love a book, you want everything to be exactly the same. But film is a different medium. So can you maybe give us a couple of examples of both? Things from the source material that you knew you had to stay true to and get book accurate, but then also some instances where the film medium demanded something different to tell the best version of this story on screen.
Yeah, I guess, there are things that was fun. Here's what's crazy. The book was written in 1982, and it is set in 2025. And the jacket of the 1982 book says this: in the year 2025, the best men don't run for president, they run for their lives. That is on the book jacket of the 1982 book. Crazy. So the fact that this film is coming out in 2025 is wild. I will say, we don't say in the movie what year it is. it's not in the script, and we don't say, and we kind of just act like it's a different tomorrow. And I think it's because as a sci-fi fan, you know, films never go far enough. You know, 2001 is one of my favorite films of all time, but also I'm sad that we're not at 2001 technology yet. I wish we had those planes going to the moon, or like, you know, Escape from New York, where they say the year is 1997. So we decided not to put a year on it, to just imagine like it's a different tomorrow. But I think sort of Stephen King fans will be happy about quite a few products straight from the script that make it in there, like Rooty Toot Soda, and this is straight from the book, a breakfast cereal called Fun Twinks. So we did have, me and the production design team had a lot of fun, just like the world that he creates in the book is so fully realized that to use a lot of that, and also to actually use some of the analog technology, it would have been an easy thing just to update everything so the analog technology was all gone. And but we decided not to do that, to sort of have almost like a slight alternate reality, that it, for this little retro futurism of a feeling like it's got, you know, it's both in the future and also things feel a little bit kind of 80s as well, in the spirit of the book.
I'm going to come back to the design in a quick second as we tiptoe towards our next clip, which I have seen and is awesome. Glenn, first, I want to ask you a little bit about the tone of the movie, though, because, you know, the book is quite dark and bleak. The 87 movie is, you know, like big swing and colorful. Where does this movie fall on that scale?
Well, you know, I don't know if anybody's seen the original Arnold movie. Shout out to Arnie. Can I say it? All right, sorry. All right, good. That's right. That's good. All right, sorry. Arnold's on the $100 bill. I'm like conscious of this. This is a group that I want to give all the spoilers to, but I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Oh no, you answer. I was gonna say we called him before we started filming because he had given us permission to put him on the money, and I told him on the call. I said, "Oh, we made you the 100." He goes, "I'm very happy about that." He got the highest denomination of the money.
He was very, very excited and very supportive of this movie, you know. And I think the thing that really works about this movie in particular compared to, you know, the other movie is obviously very much of the 80s and sort of stays within the confines of a studio. The coolest part about this one that I'm just really excited about is, you know, Edgar decided to take this thing, loyal to the book, out into the real world. So it's like the entire world is hunting this guy. There is not just a group of hunters, it's normal citizens can record and report you, they can take you out. So there's this sort of like ever-present feeling of tension that's like throughout the entire movie. It's like relentless, but as we all know, like tension and comedy are sort of married together in a lot of ways, you know? And so when you have like a guy like Edgar Wright who really understands how to, you know, marry those moments together, you get like just a tonal cinematic feast where you're simultaneously watching a guy who's in danger for his life, but also laughing at the circumstances. And like, there's this really fun, bright, colorful world of this reality show around a guy who's like struggling for his life. So for me, you know, what was really funny about Coleman Domingo's character and Josh Brolin's character is they're sort of in this fun, bright reality world, and I'm a guy who's like, this shit is real for me. Like, I'm like, this is life or death. And I think that's the fun collision in this movie, is the collision of those two tones and how Edgar marries them together.
You perfectly teed up my next two questions, because I kind of want to go back to, you know, the production design, but this also leans into the screenplay and kind of developing this world. Edgar, can you tell us a little bit about your version of the network and maybe some of the tools and tech they have, the variety of shows that run on the network, all that good stuff?
Well, I will say, actually, just to go back to what Glenn was saying, one of the biggest differences with the previous adaptation and truer to the book is that the game is out in the world. So Ben Richards and other contestants are playing the world's deadliest game of hide and seek with Lee as the lead hunter on your tail. And, you know, in the 1987 film, they keep it pretty confined to like an underground arena. And you know, when I was maybe as a teenager, when I watched that film, I was like, oh, why didn't they go out into the world like in the book? And now, having done a very long shoot with 170 locations, I realized, yeah, those guys were smart. Yeah, because it was exhausting. But I'm very proud of it because it's a very expansive movie, but that was ambitious. To answer your question, though, the network, I mean, it was so fun. Here's the other crazy thing. Since the 1982 book, we've now had, that's what, 43 years ago, we've had nearly 30 years of reality shows that are much closer to what was in the book. And so it was an amazing thing to kind of make this movie, you know, picking things from reality shows from all over the world and formats and the design of it. And, you know, as you'll see in this clip, I think the game show set looks like a cross between UFC and American Idol. So it was so fun. And also the other ambitious thing is that the entire film is through Ben Richards' perspective. So you see the entire thing through his point of view. You don't really have any scenes without him in it, but we do have to show other parts of the world through the TV. So you see other game shows, you see other reality shows. And obviously we had to shoot all that stuff. So we had to shoot all these bits of other shows, and like you'll see a lot of it in the film and probably see reams more on the Blu-ray eventually. But that was really fun to do, but also like a lot of work because you're having to create a completely new existence for everything. And so, you know, actually, and you'll see in this clip, you'll see the titles for the show as well.
One other thing I want to tease before we show this clip, because he's in it, and anyone can jump in on this. Can you all tell me a little bit about working with Josh Brolin as Killian here, and maybe what it was like watching him make that character uniquely his own?
You want to speak to Josh?
I mean, Josh is like the greatest. He's like one of my new favorite people on the planet. I don't know if there's anybody better at playing a bad guy than Josh Brolin. Besides you, Lee Pace. Josh is, I think this is also a different gear because Josh as a person is like very salty. He's a very masculine, cool guy who says he's like, so, you know, who's like got like a southern quality to him. In this, he's very manicured. He's wearing like, you know, top-notch suits. He's got veneers, you know, perfect skin, the whole thing. So he represents a different class where Ben Richards kind of comes. It's really the collision of two men from two very different worlds who are finding themselves in the same office, which is pretty cool. So Josh is just one of the greats. He's just a joy to be around, and he just absolutely smokes it in this movie.
You want to see not only Josh in action in this clip, but so much more. This is an exceptional clip. Are you ready for it? All right, let's roll our second clip from The Running Man. Oh, don't lie. That was a very good clip. I love being in these rooms and like feeling the stage and like everything vibrate when something builds like that. I am going to dig into some of the details again and also highlight more of the cast that we did see in that clip. But first, I was told I could have a little fun with this, and I do ask this question every once in a while because I like thinking about it myself. If each of you had the opportunity to be on the reality game show of your choice, what show would you pick, and could you actually win it?
Oh my God.
I'd do Survivor. 1,000%. I would want to. I would really want to do that, and I do think I could win it. I'm telling you, I do.
I was on a kid Survivor when I was a kid called Endurance. Some random Endurance fans in here. I love it. I got kicked off on the first day, so you and I are in a very different games. Yeah.
I'd be terrible at it, but it'd be fun just for the experience to be on the Great British Bake Off. And my friend is one of the judges, so maybe I'd get preferential treatment. As Noel Fielding is a friend of mine.
I like the sound of all that. I feel like we need like a Running Man spin on that. Don't they do themed episodes every once in a while, too?
I think we should all do the Great British Bake Off.
I would watch that in a heartbeat. So going back to your incredible ensemble here, we've highlighted a bunch of people, but I wanted to open it up to the full cast right now. We all know how talented everybody is, so do you. You cast them in their movie. But for each of you, I was wondering if you could highlight someone this way. Who does something in The Running Man that would make you tell folks in this audience, like, you think you know what that actor is capable of, but you'll never believe what they achieve in our movie?
Well, you just saw Coleman in that clip, and he's incredible. I mean, I'll say this, is that I'm excited for you guys to see Michael Cera in the movie. I won't say any more than that, but he's such an amazing blast of energy, and it's exciting to work with him again. So I'm excited for you all to see Michael Cera in it.
His casting surprised me, and when I'm surprised by casting, it delights me. I can't wait to see what he does in that role.
I obviously worked with him when we did Scott Pilgrim. He was Scott Pilgrim versus the World 2010. He was 20, he turned 21 on set. And so to work with him like kind of 15 years later, you know, he's a father of two, and like it was just so great to, I mean, obviously we'd been in touch and been friends all the time, and he did the voice for the anime series, but to actually be on set with him again, and, you know, Michael Bacall, who, you know, like, we wrote together on the movie, we, you know, worked on Scott Pilgrim as well. So it was a nice reunion of a lot of people. There's lots of people that I worked with on previous films. But for him to be in the film was great. And to see him and Glenn together make such a fun and unlikely double act. So I'm excited for you guys to see that.
Sarah's a man. It was also fun, you know, as a fan of Scott Pilgrim, to watch you guys go down memory lane together. You know, to be a part of that was really special. Katie O'Brien and I did, Katie, such a star. She and I did Twisters together. So it was so fun to kind of reunite with her on this one, and she's extraordinary in the movie. Everybody reacts differently to imminent death. And Katie definitely reacts the most fun of anyone. She's a blast in this movie. Also, Martin Herlihy from SNL just really adds so much life to this character. And again, a very specific reaction to imminent death that's just a blast. There's a guy named Daniel Ezra, who many of you may be familiar with, but he is really good, a real heartbeat of the movie. And it's his first movie. He's been in many TV shows. This is his first movie, and just extraordinary actor, extraordinary guy. But I will say, I think one of the highlights for me was Coleman Domingo when he was shooting all the Bobby T stuff. He had a spiritual connection with that audience. Mm-hmm. He really is such a born performer and added so much flavor to that. But one of my favorite memories was he was on stage when he got his BAFTA nomination. And the entire crowd went nuts. And we made the announcement, and then he just kind of ate it up and kind of kept fueling them up. And it was just, there was like something really special that was happening on that stage. But Coleman is one of the rare people that can pull off a part like this. You know, he's born for the stage, and he just milks every single moment out of this movie.
One of my favorite things that happened on the set was Coleman, you know, kind of, you know, he came in and sort of had the crowd of extras eating out of his hand by the end of the day. They were sort of chanting his character name. So even when we weren't rolling, the audience would start going, Bobby T, Bobby T. And Josh Brolin, who's in some of the studio scenes, who's, you know, the creator of The Running Man, Dan Killian, at one point I did an experiment with the extras, and I said, hey, I just want to do a quick experiment. How do we all feel about Coleman Domingo? And they went, Bobby T, Bobby T. I was like, how do we feel about Josh Brolin? Boo! And Josh was like, he goes, I have never felt so emasculated in my life. All of the people in the studio were booing me. It was so funny.
It feels like Coleman's the kind of person who has that spiritual connection with like literally everybody on the planet. He's got that special spark that nobody else does. Lee, how about for you? A scene partner you want to highlight?
Amelia Jones. She was, I thought, exquisite in Coda. And I love, one of my favorite things about watching movies is seeing like a new actor and like seeing something I've never seen before. And to get to meet her in real life on this set and see what she brought to this character was super fun, super cool. And I'm excited to see what she does in the movie because I only have a couple small scenes with her.
I'm psyched to see her in that role too. I do want to take a moment to give Glen some flowers here because headliner, there's so much on your shoulders with this role. So Edgar, I'll start with you, and Lee, if you want to chime in, please do. Can you tell me something about the version of Ben Richards in your movie that was only possible because it is Glen Powell in that role?
Well, this man. I mean, what's I think amazing is that Glen is in every scene of the film. There's only one scene that he's not in, and that's a TV show that he's watching. And it was the thing about the adaptation that was really important to me is I wanted it to feel very intense that we're with this character the whole way. And that meant that Glen was in every day, pretty much in most shots. And that was just made it, I mean, a gift in a way because you get to experience the movie through the character. And also, it was important to us because even though it is an action film, Ben Richards in this film, he's a regular guy. He's an out-of-work dad. And he's kind of, you know, he's tough because he works some tough jobs like construction and he's worked outside. And so he's got a thick hide. But he's often operating without a plan and with no sort of strategy. And it's a fun thing to do. A lot of action movies these days, you're watching people who are superhuman or they are the best at what they do. They might be the best hitman in the world or the best or their top superhero could kill anybody. And so there's something great about doing an action film around a character who's vulnerable and fallible and who you think could die at any second. And so going on that journey with Glen and sort of putting him literally and figuratively through his paces was just a dream because he's such a great collaborator. So it was a really ambitious shoot, an exhausting shoot. And if I had anybody less hardworking and diligent than Glen, I just wouldn't have got through it. So I want to say thank you to this man in front of lots of people. And he's amazing in the movie. I'm allowed to say that. He's amazing in the movie.
Let's continue to make Glen blush, please.
I mean, to echo a lot of what Edgar said, I mean, talk about someone who gives it 1,000% and makes it look easy. He shows up every day with like a level of commitment that if you're showing up to that same set, you're going to bring the same commitment. A lot of our scenes, both of the characters are pretty stressed out, going through a moment, and the work is real, but the camera's cut, and you've got someone you could joke with on set, which makes those long days really enjoyable. So, thank you, my friend.
Love you, buddy. Thank you. Love you guys.
We've already seen some of it, but we're going to screen another clip, and it shows you that Glen really put in the work in so many different respects. Let's check out our third clip from The Running Man. There's no better question to ask after a clip like that than one about the ambition of this production. Edgar, I'll start with you. Glen and Lee, if you want to chime in on this, please do, just to highlight the incredible behind the scenes that went into making that and everything else you do in the movie possible. You've done a lot of ambitious things, but this looks like it's on another level. Can you tease maybe some first-time filmmaking feats you achieved while making The Running Man?
I guess it's like a road movie. I mean, the thing that was kind of crazy about making it is it felt like sometimes like you were doing the show, because like to what I was saying about earlier, my production designer told me that because there's so many moving parts to it and there's so many locations because Ben Richards is on the run. There's something like 168 locations and sets in the movie. It's crazy, and so because we see so much, so I think that was probably the most ambitious thing for me is to sort of be really expansive. And, you know, we shot in 3 different countries, essentially. We shot in London, England, we shot in Glasgow in Scotland, and we shot in Sofia in Bulgaria. And I think that sequence probably covers all 3 countries at some point. I don't know, it was that thing where I kind of felt, obviously making movies is really exhausting and stressful, and I would joke that Glen got into the best shape of his life, and I got into my worst.
Can you two jump in on that? Like, what is something you saw happening on this set that made, even with all your experience, made the two of you stop and go like, my God, how is this real? How are we doing this right now?
I mean, the shape Glen was in. How is this real? How are we doing it? I mean, that was, as you saw, pretty sick.
You know what the worst part about that towel scene was for me was Edgar asked me to do that towel scene in the summertime. We shot that in February in Bulgaria. It was -10 that day. Nobody looks good in a towel in -10, but you become friends with a crew really fast. I think one of the things that was like the best for me on this movie was, Edgar Wright has been on a list. When I first moved out to LA in 2008, I put a list of directors, like 5 directors on a list. Edgar Wright is at the top of that list of people I wanted to work with. If I ever got the chance, if I ever got a chance to stick around this business and ascend to a place high enough that these are sort of my Mount Rushmore of great filmmakers, and Edgar Wright is at the top of that list. He's one of the greats. He's made more incredible movies in such different genres than anyone else. And so I think what was really incredible for me is to watch one of the greats work his ass off every single day to deliver stuff for you guys, to deliver the best movie possible, to thrill audiences around the world. It was really inspiring because for me, sometimes you get around the greats and they're kind of skating on their legacy or skating on the things they've made before. And there was not one day that Edgar wasn't just fighting and slaving over every single shot and agonizing over how to make it perfectly to really, really deliver something special with this movie. So I think that was the most inspiring thing for me.
Such a beautiful.
And no one else is having more fun on that set. I'll tell you that too. Like Edgar is having a ball.
Not every day.
Not every day.
No, he is. You create a very, very fun set. Absolutely. Not the -10 Bulgaria day, but every day.
I ask this every once in a while, and now that makes me curious. Does Edgar have a monitor dance? Like something he does behind the monitor that signals to the two of you, you are really crushing a scene?
My whole goal on this was to make Edgar chuckle. Like that's all I wanted to do is kind of do a take and see Edgar chuckle, honestly.
I'll take that. Good chuckle behind the monitor is exactly what you need. Given a lot of what you've all talked about, like the challenges and the ambition, it makes me want to ask you all one of my favorite questions because I love film, but I really love the process of filmmaking, and I love the fact that while it can be so hard, there's such beautiful moments of joy you can experience while practicing your craft. So for each of you, can you single out the moment of making The Running Man that brought you the most joy as an artist?
I think it's seeing something come together. I mean, most scenes are done in such little increments. Like that scene you just saw, I mean, God knows how many days and weeks it was shot in pieces over. And then there are little scenes where something is happening kind of as live. And that's very rare on a movie. And I think actually the TV studio stuff was a bit like that. Because there was a point where it felt slightly, in a great way, out of control. Like the audience were really responding. So kind of, seeing an audience because they're sort of baying for Ben Richards' blood, encouraging the extras to sort of hurl abuse at Ben Richards. There was, we had all these extras, and then somebody from our accounts department kind of wanted to be in the crowd for the day. And he said to me at the wrap party, he said, I don't know why, but shouting swear words at a complete stranger for 6 hours straight was one of the most therapeutic experiences of my life. Because also is that thing when you have really good crowd work, and amazing ADs, obviously working with it, and Coleman was great with them. But Glenn and Lee are both in those scenes. It did feel like it was felt like it started to become the show. That these people would actually kind of riot at some point. It was really it felt really electric in the room, and you don't often get that where you've created the environment to shoot something for real,
Leave it to accounting to have that amount of latent anger. Yeah.
I mean, I'd say we had my last day of filming. We shot all the promos, all the fun McCone promos. So I got to lay out on an American flag, show my gun, show my knife, hang out of a helicopter, deliver badass lines.
Blow up watermelon?
Blow up watermelons. I mean, this is living the dream.
I forgot that you did all your promos on the last day, yeah.
How about for you, Glenn?
No, I mean, I will say, watching Lee enjoy every single moment of this movie. Like, there is no one that has more swagger under that mask. You really enjoyed hunting me more than it's unbelievable.
You know.
So fun, so fun. I think this was there's several ambitious ones. Even just like that one that we just saw is like, obviously it's in a oneer. You know, there's a lot of you know, things. So things are exploding in the hallway. There's a lot of, I always love when every department sort of comes together for a moment, and there was a lot of these really ambitious moments where it's like special effects and camera and props and costume, and everybody had to kind of come together simultaneously to pull something off in a really great way. But I think maybe where I really knew that we had something special was when we were on the set of The Running Man, and you really saw like all the storylines, because all the storylines kind of coalesce into one place. You know, my wife and my daughter and Coleman and Josh and the audience and the other contestants, and you really got a sense of like how far we were going to pull back that slingshot to throw Ben Richards out into the world. And you see, like with Coleman, with the fire and the cheerleaders, you were like, okay, this movie rocks. You know.
Can't wait to see even more of it. We do have one more thing to show you right now. Edgar, I feel like I should give you the honors. Do you want to introduce the last thing that we're showing to the crowd here?
Sure. This is our new trailer. So I hope you enjoyed. The film is out on November the 14th. And I would say the 12 minutes you've seen today is just the tip of the iceberg, so I can't wait for you to see the rest of it.
That is your Running Man panel at New York Comic Con. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
November 14th.